has a yellow lid, and its full name is Duke's Mayonnaise. Get Duke's Mayo in store. It's got twang.
This is the Gashouse Gang on 104.1 FM KMOX. Sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin comfort dealer. And by Anderson Hospital, a Newsweek World's Best Hospital. Now, the Gashouse Gang on KMOX.
Santana's pitch. Burleson swings, and he drives it to center field. That's hit deep. Back to the wall. It's a gunner. It's a gunner and a Redbird winner. A game winner for Alec Burleson. Light up the night in downtown St. Louis.
What a baseball game last night. The Cardinals win it 7-6. Welcome to the Gashouse Gang with Bernie Miklas. I'm Tom Ackerman. Our producers are Kyle Sixta and Frank Ladd, and it is our pleasure to bring in the manager of the Cardinals, Oli Marmol. Hello, Oli. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. I would start with a quick story. And that is, this is a long time ago. The Cardinals were playing the Diamondbacks, and Miguel Batista hit Tino Martinez with a pitch. And Tino went about halfway to first and decided, no, I'm going. So he charges the mound. Batista had the ball back at that point, throws the ball at Tino, misses him. Big fight breaks out. Anyway, after the game, I'm the first question in the press conference, and I said, Tony, what did the umpires say to you about the Batista Martinez situation? And he looks at me and he goes, well, I'm disappointed. We just played a 1-run ball game and you're asking me about that BS. Are we going to talk BS or baseball, Tom? I'm like, and so, you know, so my point is,
that can be my response.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right.
So we're going to open this up and talk about baseball, and then we'll get into some other stuff that happened. First of all, 6 wins in a row on Monday. The streak continues. You go into the Gashouse Gang with another W, and it was a really good one, Oli. That was some game.
It was. I feel like we've been down quite a bit as of late, but to be able to punch back and get back in that game, unfortunately, we give it back up and allow them to tie it there on that curveball down by Riley. But Burleson's doing such a nice job, man. What a game yesterday with 4 hits and then hits the game winner there with the homer. He continues to improve and show that he's more than capable of handling this league in a lot of different ways. But that was a really good one yesterday, man.
Yeah, because it could have gone either way. You know, it was a tight game. You had to kind of scratch back. You took the lead, lost the lead. You battled. I know you take a lot of pride in that with your team. Can I share something that I thought was hysterical last night? And I mean this in the best way. So this, by the way, this is not me trying to use the back door to talk about Contreras, because we're going to do that anyway. But so there's all the mayhem on the field. You know, the candy gets strewn all about. So, you know, I'm watching, and there's a bunch of Cardinals people out there picking up the candy, and Burleson's out there picking up and scooping up the candy. Right.
He took a piece to go, didn't he?
Right. So he's scooping up the candy, and it's like, I don't know how many minutes later, 5 minutes later, he's hitting a walk-off. And I'm like, that's a pretty unique evening. You know, he's out there tending to the garden and cleaning up the litter, and then boom, good night, drive safely.
Yes.
But he seems like he's that kind of guy, though. He just wants to be a great teammate. He wants to chip in. He wants to help out. He's amiable. He's congenial, and he can hit. He can really hit.
He can really hit. And the thing is, man, he's a good defender. He's limited in the outfield due to his speed. But at first base, he's more than capable, man. I have him. I trust him over there. He works hard at it, but he's putting together a pretty nice year offensively. He's staying in there against lefties. But his personality is exactly what you just described. He's easygoing, competitive, but at the same time, he keeps it loose and understands that the game is hard and you're going to have ups and downs. But he's done a really nice job of handling those ups and downs this year. We went back and looked at the video, and to your point, he's sitting there with the bat boy and he's helping pick up. And at the very end, he bends back over and picks one more piece up for himself and puts one in his pocket and one in his mouth. So that's Burley for you.
Always taking an opportunity. Yeah, you said on this show one time that, you know, don't give the manager a chance to keep you out of the lineup. And that's Burleson has certainly not given you that opportunity. He has been consistently good.
Yeah, he's been he's done that well, right? You put him in the lineup, he runs with it. There's a time where I remember sitting in the office saying, "Hey, man, the next week or so, I need you to be patient with me. It's not going to um, be a ton of opportunity for you to play. We're going to give a couple guys a shot here, and once your opportunity comes up, man, be ready to run with it." And he's done exactly that, man. You put him in the lineup, and it's hard to take him out at this point. He's going to hit third and play every day. And if he needs an off day, we'll give it to him. But he's solidified himself as someone that needs to be in there every day to take your best shot.
I'm going to go back, Ali, to something you said a couple weeks ago when we were talking about the runway season and who's taken the most advantage of it. And I'm 98% sure you said Burleson for sure. And certainly that's an obvious one because he keeps getting better and better defensively as well. But we've also, since June the 1st, the first couple months were rough. But since June the 1st, if you look at your team stats, your individual players, it's basically your offensive leaders are either OPS or weighted runs created plus. They're Contreras, Burleson, Gorman. Gorman's been really, really good too. How important is that? That two guys you definitely were looking for to take a step forward. At least two of them have done it. And I'm not saying that they're complete finished products, let's say.
Yeah.
But they've both taken a pretty big leap forward.
They've done exactly that. They've taken a big leap forward. And Gorman, there's Ryan Graber. I won't read his exact comment, but now that you've given him an opportunity to play every day, he's done a nice job with it, man. And he continues to take some really good at bats. Even the left on left yesterday, man, like he's settling in. So he's going to continue to work defensively and continue to take strides there at third base. But offensively, man, he's done a nice job of controlling the strikes a little better. The punch outs are still there. That's going to be the case. But from quality of at bat, man, we're seeing some pretty high production. And to your point, since June 1st, he's done a really, really nice job. And that's important, man, because it didn't start off the way he wanted. But as of late, it has looked really good. And he's worked hard with Brownie of being more direct, using the whole field. Like yesterday, like that is, he's got a couple things he does really well. One, it's just easy pop. So he doesn't have to try to generate more than just taking a fluid swing. And when he does that, man, the ball jumps. And yesterday, not trying to do too much, just stays on it and punches that ball to left center field. And it's a big part of the game. So he's using the big part of the field. He's not trying to just pull. And because of it, he's being rewarded.
I like sometimes sitting as close as I can and I'll isolate on a player and just to sort of follow them and look at their mannerisms and how they handle things. And I was really making it a point to watch McGreevy yesterday. And he gave up a couple of bombs, as you know, Reynolds and Horwitz, but I loved how he responded to that and settled in. And I wonder, he can't hit, but I wonder if that contributed in some way to the outbreak in the fifth inning, that he kept you in the game and then your team was able to explode. There was just a good vibe that you were in that because of McGreevy.
Yeah, and that's what we're looking for. When before we brought him up, when I said it'd be important for him to come up and experience getting feedback from big league hitters, this is exactly what we're talking about. Is when you make mistakes up here, they get hit a long ways. But your ability to make adjustments is important, and not wait till the following start to make an adjustment, but your ability to do it in game and slow things down enough to do that. And there's no way of replicating that at the minor league level because of the added layer of pressure that you feel here. So he's done a nice job with that. Post game, his ability to kind of dissect the game and kind of go through what he did well, what he didn't do well, what he liked to improve upon. But in game, he's doing a much better job of being able to have a regular conversation and make adjustments in game. We've seen him now where he gets tagged for several runs in the first 3 innings and he settles in the second half of the game and still gives you 3 innings of scoreless ball. And that's important because it'll get to a point where he starts that way and then can give you those 6 innings with limited runs. But I've been very pleased with his performance, his demeanor, his just overall approach. It's been good. So it's up to this point, it's been promising.
Ali, we just want to ask you because it's naturally we got some follow-ups about what happened last night with Wilson Contreras. I know that the Cardinals are waiting for the league to hand down something if they're going to hand down anything. But now that you've had some time to think about it and everything's cooled down, do you have any thoughts to offer about it? I mean, Wilson's a hard-ass guy, very intense competitor. He can be volatile. That's also some of the qualities that make him so endearing to teammates and you and the staff because he puts his whole heart into it, but he did go overboard last night. We all know that. He knows that. What's your takeaway from it? And is there? And I know you're not going to reveal this because I'm asking you to share a private thing, and that's not cool.
Sure.
But is there a way to talk to him to maybe see that maybe he knows where that boundary is when it's kind of the heat of the moment?
Here's the thing with Wilson, man. He can lose his mind, and he's really good about. I'm talking about minutes after being able to sit down and have the conversation. So I've had that conversation with him. We sat down actually twice last night. One when we were both inside right after it happened, and then after we both did media, and we got a chance to discuss it a little further. At the end of the day, what the umpire thought he said and what he said did not match, and that's what got him frustrated. He wasn't frustrated with the pitch itself. He knew it was a strike. He was more frustrated that McGreevy didn't get a lot of close calls, and it ended up hurting him. So he made a comment towards that. But what was said and what was heard were different. In the heat of the moment, that's tough for an umpire. It's tough for everybody to get right. So he was more frustrated with getting ejected on the miscommunication there. But yeah, there's several moments within that I feel like he wishes he can have back. And until I hear from the league, I'll keep a lot of it between us as far as the Contreras and conversation. But yeah, I mean, this is a fiery guy, man, who loves to win, and he's gonna at times be very emotional. But once we hear back from the league and have a better understanding as to where this is headed, then I'll speak a little bit more to it.
Just to follow up, and this goes back to the beginning when you and Mo were thinking about signing him, and you met with him, and you obviously were familiar with him because the Cardinals playing the Cubs all the time. But isn't that intensity and that competitiveness and that fiery nature, wasn't that part of his appeal to the Cardinals?
Yeah, when you look at our clubhouse and where we were, we had a very stoic team. And adding a little bit of intensity and fire to it wasn't a bad thing. And we knew that Wilson brought exactly that, and it brings it out of others as well. Kind of controlling that at times is important, but you can have a conversation with Wilson as he may look a certain way, and you think, man, this guy is probably hard to talk. Like he really isn't, man. He's as humble and as quiet behind closed doors as you can ever imagine. I mean, you can sit down and be very direct with him, and he handles those conversations very well. So we'll sit down today and talk through once he's had some time to actually cool down and think about it again, and go from there.
We appreciate that. Yeah. Bernie, do you want to follow up with something?
No, I was just going to joke. I was going to razz the manager a little bit.
Yeah.
You know me, I look up everything. That was Wilson's 9th career ejection, right?
Okay.
And I think you guys may be in some type of competition here. See who can get run off the most. I don't know. What do you think?
The thing is, there's times where, oh boy, there's times where I am looking to get ejected for one reason or another. There's times where if you don't, you rather get ejected than your player feel like you don't have their back. Okay. And there's times for that. There's times where you look at Nato and Wilson and some others, they want to know that you're supporting them when things like this happen. And then there's times where I just completely disagree with how the game's going from a umpire standpoint. I'm not looking to get ejected. It happens more often than I'd probably like. But there is times where you need to do it. And especially when your big boys are the ones that are getting hurt, you want to make sure that they have an opportunity to stay in the game. And if I have to go inside for it, I'm okay with that as long as they stay in the lineup. Yesterday, unfortunately, we both had to go.
Just to keep this clear, Bernie, he's competing with Aaron Boone in terms of.
Oh, that's right.
So
Yeah.
Boone's,
what the heck is wrong with you guys?
I'm just. Well, I did look it up, by the way. Derek Thomas tossed Boone twice this year. He also tossed Nico Horner and Craig Counsell, and Horner had kind of a similar story where Horner said, "All I said was you're having a bad night." And he tossed him. So, I mean, quick for Thomas. By the way, a follow-up on my Tony story before we take a break is I went into his office after that. I gave him a little cooling off period, and I went into his office, and I said, "Are you mad at me?" And he said, "No." He said, I knew someone was going to ask it, and the first person to ask it was going to get it, and that was you. So congratulations. We'll take a break. We'll come back and have more of the Gashouse Gang. We're sponsored by this conversation with Oli by Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer. With Bernie Miklasz, Oli Marmol, I'm Tom Ackerman. Back in a moment on KMOX. Siteman Cancer Center Spotlight. We are visiting with Dr. Premal Thacker.
I think the key is recognizing symptoms.
Try and get 20% off your first 6 months. That's openphone.com/try. Openphone.com/TRY.
The Chris and Amy Show. Weekdays starting at 9 on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Now his pitch for Mason Wynn. A swing and a ground ball left side. It goes off the glove of Triolo. Everybody's safe. Church scores. The Cardinals are down by 2.
John Rooney with the call last night as the Cardinals opened up a 5-run fifth inning, and that hit by Mason Wynn. I thought that was a huge moment in the game last night. There were 2 outs, and Oli, as you recall, Wynn takes 2 quick strikes, then he takes 2 fastballs up, then he fouls one off, and then a changeup he puts into play. It gets through, he drives in a run, and that created the avalanche that began. And Mason Wynn, how is he feeling after that game, after the MRI on his knee?
Yeah, so I'll start with the MRI. It came back and it was encouraging. Nothing from this MRI to his previous MRI, which was several weeks ago to a month ago. It was unchanged. If anything, there was some slight encouraging news and improvement to it. So this is something that our medical team, and we've sat down and talked through it. They don't feel like this is something that could worsen. It's a pain tolerance thing, and some days are going to feel better than others, but it's a matter of Mason feeling like he can continue to go, but continue to play on it or put stress on it. It's not an injury that will get worse because of it. So Mason's been incredible at coming into the office and communicating, here's how I feel, here's what I can do, here's what I can't do. There's days where you see him and he's not going to get down the line on a routine ground ball to second base, but on something he feels like he can sniff out a hit, man, you see him get down the line pretty good and first to third and scoring from first, all of it. So this is going to be something where we continue to communicate clearly as far as, hey, can you go today? Can you not? And if he needs a day off, we give it to him. And we'll continue down this road until we feel like we have to make a change. But medical team feels very confident that this is not something that'll worsen by continuing to put stress on it. The injury is what it is. Yeah.
You know, Oli, we've talked about this from time to time about whether some of your regulars could use more of a blow. But I have to tell you, when I run my mouth, I also like to check myself. So I went and looked, and I saw that Mason Wynn, among major league shortstops, he's 16th and starts 16th in innings.
Correct.
So my point being, it's not like you've run him into the ground. He's playing, really good shortstops play a ton. I mean, that's just the nature of the business.
And that's the pride. Yeah. Sorry, continue your comment.
No, I'm saying, so
agreeing on something.
I got to correct myself because my assumption was incorrect, and I just wanted to let you know that. But what does it say about him? He always wants to. He wants to be a leader. He wants to be the guy. He wants to set the example. What does it say that someone like that is so willing to play with discomfort and compete through it?
It says a lot, and that's exactly the point I was going to make. He wants to be known as a shortstop that's in there for 162 games. His goal this year was, man, I want to play every day. So that's meaningful because your top shortstops, that is what they do, especially when they're your top defender, man. They want to be in there every day. They want to contribute, and that's his personality. That's what he wants to be known across the league for. So it says a lot about Mason to be able to continue to go out there, even with some discomfort in that knee. If he or our medical team felt like it would get worse by playing on it, then we would have shut this down a while ago. But that's not the case. If it gets to a point where the discomfort means he needs multiple days off and it's just not, then we'll have that conversation. But at the moment, man, he wants no different than Nolan Arenado. Like, he loves playing every day. He wants to play over 150 games every year, and Mason's no different. And I applaud him for that. Like, you want your regulars in there every day, and your top guys, to your point, do exactly that.
And just a quick follow-up too. I don't know if it's an overstatement to say that Mason Wynn saved the game last night in the 7th inning with Leahy. You were in that was one of the most alert heads-up plays I think I've ever seen. It was really something to behold, and probably did save the game. It's a disaster if he's not there to back up.
It's an absolute disaster. I mean, a snowball fight at that point. You look at the throw Leahy made, and for Mason to be in that spot at that time was as headsy as you can be. And there was no hesitation if you look at the overhead of him getting over there. So those are the little things that show you, yes, he's athletic. He's got crazy skill. His ceiling is super high. He's electric. Yeah, all the things, but he's a winning player. Like, those are the things that allow you to know that he's a winning player. To be in that spot at that time, that it's not an overstatement. That does save the game. I mean, that's a big part of us being able to handle that game yesterday. But those are the type of plays, man, where you sit back and you analyze it after, and it just shows you what kind of player he is. And it's not just a good defender or a great defender. He's a winning player.
Wanted to scroll through some of the comments because I know we only have you for about
it's always dangerous.
Yeah, 5 more minutes. I mean, some of these are just kind of silly, but wanted to throw this one out there from Garland about Herrera. Have you given up on the idea of him being a catcher?
No, not necessarily. I actually sat with Herrera for about 15, 20 minutes yesterday discussing this exact topic, and that's not the case. It's a matter of protecting his knees, both of them at the moment, and the hamstring. He is playing through some discomfort as well, and then tasking him with bending down and squatting for 9 innings, even if it's 3 days a week, would be a tough ask at the moment. So we want to get him through the year because it's important for him to continue to get at bats, for the reason like what we're seeing right now, man. We're seeing a little bit of a down period for Herrera offensively, as he came back from the injured list. And that's part of it. It's understanding what the league's doing to you, responding to it. You're going to have ups and downs, but him continuing to get every day at bat at the big league level is important. And we don't want to miss the opportunity to do that, even if it's at the expense of him not catching. So protecting the hamstring and the knee right now is top priority. And, we'll continue to do that and then revisit the catching situation once we hit the offseason.
Bernie, I'll send it back over to you, and I'll keep tossing out a few of these before we go.
Yeah, well, you guys keep trying to hang in there the best you can. And at times it gets ugly, but every time, a guy like me just thinks like, this is just whatever. Then you manage to kind of like restoke the fire and, play a game like last night. And it just reaffirms the fact that, your team hasn't quit. They have some ugly games, but like we talked about one time on this show, just because a team looks flat or a team's down really, really by a lot early, it doesn't mean they've packed it in, but the energy looks to be good. And tell us about just the mindset of your team, even though to this point, it's been a disappointing year.
It's A couple things that you just mentioned. They have not given in at all. When you look at the games, there's going to be, and that's the part of having a young team. You're going to have games that look like last night, and you're going to have games that don't look great. And there's going to be some real ups and downs. And what you're trying to do is minimize the amount of games and times that you are that inconsistent. And that's why a veteran team does that better than a young team a lot of times. But these guys, and some of them, man, are just fighting for their lives at the big league level and trying to prove that they're big leaguers. And some are showing it and some aren't. And that's the part of the inconsistent play. But as far as giving it in or giving in or not giving everything, that hasn't been the case with this group. I would not categorize the year as disappointing whatsoever. Because when we started the year, this is pretty much what you thought we would be. And the guys that are supposed to be taking steps forward, a lot of them have. Some I wish would have a little bit more than they have, but that's part of the evaluation process, is continuing to give opportunity and see what these guys are capable of doing. That's all you can do, man. Like when I sit back, and I stayed at the stadium a little longer than usual yesterday after the game, thinking through a couple things, not so much the game, but just bigger picture. And when you look at our rotation and the velo in our rotation, and then you look at the swing and miss in our pen compared to the league, and you start thinking about how we've maximized some of that. Sorry, my 5-year-old just popped in. She had a very important comment.
That's important.
Yeah. But when you look at maximizing what you have, man, it's hard not to sit back and go, man, Dusty and that group have done a really good job. When I look at what Gorman's doing and some of these other guys, Burleson, and it's hard not to give credit to Brownie and Dusty and the rest of the staff and John Jay and Scott for maximizing as much of the talent that we have. So when you say disappointing, I would combat that a little bit, because I really do feel you're positioning yourself to have a really good understanding of what you have and what you don't have at the end of this year, because opportunities have definitely been given. Yeah.
I think what happened, Oli, I think what happened
is we had a good May.
Yeah, you were
you're spot on, man.
You're 9 games over 500.
You're spot on. I don't disagree with you whatsoever. I really don't, because you have a May like that, and that's part of the big leagues. Is once you show that you're capable of doing something, the world will ask you to repeat it, right? Like go do the same damn thing in June and do it in July, because you've shown that you're capable. Well, that is the definition of a young player: inconsistency. And they're going to show what their ceiling is from time to time. And now it's figuring out a way for them to be consistent with that, or get as close to it as often as possible. So I don't disagree one bit. And that's what you're aiming for. And that's like what we're pushing guys towards every day. But there are limitations, and that's real. And I still take me out of it completely. I give the staff a ton of credit for continuing to be head down and maximizing the talent that we do have on a daily basis.
I agree with both of you on the 19-8 in May, and I felt the exact same way when it happened. As much fun as it was, we all knew what the big picture was. Bernie and I are going to talk about this later. I'm going to throw this at Bernie later.
Yeah,
I don't know if he caught this, that Kylie McDaniel of ESPN, who's a respected analyst of the minor leagues, has just come out with his rankings of the minor league systems. He's got the Cardinals 9th right now, 19th to start the year. That's a huge jump. So I'm just going to ask it to you this way, Oli. What are you hearing about what's on the way, and what of your recent conversations? What can you tell us, at least with Chaim Bloom, as to what's to come?
I like our process. I do. A lot of they've done a really nice job. When I say they, Chaim and Surf and Mo and everybody, they've done a really nice job of including the big league staff in what that's looking like down below, and the different process that are being put in place, and the infrastructure, and with the hirings to curriculum, all of it there's been a lot of continuity in that. And it's been energizing. But I will say that I feel good about where this is headed, not just based on some of the talent that we have up here, but what's coming, and just the process that's in place for getting guys ready for the big league level is encouraging. So from that standpoint, yeah.
Bernie, anything before we go? Yeah.
So where's JJ Weatherholt going to hit for you next year?
I love it. I love it.
Is he a leadoff dude? Is that what do you think?
Man, I'm not sure if he's a leadoff dude. At some point, I'd like to lay eyes on him a little more. But I've told you guys, man, super impressive kid for a lot of reasons, skill set, but also personality. He's going to fit in extremely, extremely well. Going off the development question, Tom, what I'd like to do over the next couple of weeks as well is maybe have, even if it's for the second half of the segment, you guys can roast me for the first half, depending on how the week goes. But for the second half, maybe we can have like John Jay join us one week and then have Brownie. I'd like to have Brownie on here with you guys too, man, and just be able to dive into, because when we talk about, I saw a couple of the comments, like, what does success look like if you guys don't make the playoffs this year? And that's a fair question for a fan, right? It's if we're looking at progress and we're looking at making sure that there are real plans that are going to lead to success for individual players, I think it could be good for you guys to have some questions prepped for Brownie as far as, man, what are we seeing in Walker? What are we seeing in Herrera? What does it look like for Donnie or Newt or Gore? And him being able to go a layer deeper than just your typical answer that you give in a post-game interview. And doing the same with Dusty and doing the same defensively, maybe with John Jay or Stubby, whatever the case may be, but maybe taking the next couple of weeks to jump into the development of these guys and how we're looking at evaluating these guys and what all goes into that from a perspective that's not just mine.
We would absolutely love that, like you did with Dusty Blake, which was incredible access and very, very important, not only to us, but most importantly to our listeners and to the fans out there to understand. I think that's the whole point, isn't it, Ollie, as we close here, is that you want to be as transparent as you can be with the fan base and let them know what's going on.
Listen, at the end of the day, they're the ones that fill the seats, and it's a big part of what we, especially in this city. So I think being transparent, like when you say transition year, whatever you want to call it, name it whatever you want. If we're building towards the future and we're saying, man, moving forward, this is what it's going to look like, I think painting a clear picture as to how we're evaluating player, what we find important and how we're going to get there from the people that are head down with these guys every day, I think that could be fruitful. I think it serves a really good purpose, and I think the fans could ask questions, and you guys have your questions prepped, obviously, for those guys. But I think it's a really good segue as to what we're really heading towards here. So we'll set that up, and I'll line those guys up over the next three weeks or so, and we'll go from there.
Love it. You just give us a heads up. We'll promote it and let people know who's coming.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks so much for the visit. We really appreciate you.
Yep, you got it, guys.
Oliver Marmol, Cardinals manager, with us. Our conversation with him, sponsored by Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer. Bernie and I will be back for much more coming up on the Gashouse Gang. I want to let you know right now that Genesis of St. Charles is ready for you. You can test drive a car from your home. They will deliver. Now, I would suggest you go to the facility because it is luxury like you've not seen. This is the state-of-the-art Genesis dealership at 5601 Veterans Memorial Parkway. That's in St. Peters, off Mid-Rivers Mall Drive and I-70, Missouri's first and only standalone Genesis dealership. Have you seen these Genesis vehicles out on the roads? They are slick, and I've driven some myself, and let me tell you, Genesis of St. Charles is the real deal. Complimentary vehicle pickup and delivery, a loaner vehicle at no additional cost, all the things you would expect from a luxury dealership. Every purchase comes with 3 years of complimentary Genesis service valet. Genesis of St. Charles, the #1 Genesis dealer in Missouri for 2025, genesisofstcharles.com.
This Labor Day weekend, we're celebrating Bob's Discount Furniture's 200
House of Representatives.
Today, the Cards, the Pirates,
Cameron Total Access 550.
Cardinals Radio, 104.1 FM KMOX.
The Gashouse Gang on KMOX is sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling, SaligaHeatingandCooling.com, and by Anderson Hospital. Every Tuesday, we talk to Oli Marmol. We just did that live. You can go back and watch it. It'll be on replay for the next, for foreseeable future if you want to reference it. And Bernie, I thought he was really good. The manager, as he always is, was very open about everything going on.
Yeah, I appreciate him because he'll come on and you can ask him anything. I've been in situations before where I wouldn't want to do shows like this because I felt like somehow my hands were tied and I didn't want that. I mean, I'm always respectful to guests, including Oli Marmol. We have a unique relationship because he knows that I put him on blast sometimes, but I also like to talk to him and get his reasons for doing certain things. He always lets me in terms of giving me a better understanding of how he processes certain things, not to cover his butt, but just to be transparent. And I really appreciate that about him. He's not thin-skinned at all. He'll take on any question. We have people here on the chat that goes along with this, just taking all kinds of juvenile, stupid, cowardly shots at him. And he doesn't care, whatever. It's just part of the deal. But he likes to hear from fans who have legitimate questions, sincere questions, and don't understand something. If he had the time, he would sit here for hours and talk to every single one of them. I mean, that's the kind of guy he is. And I do respect that very much about him. I may quibble we all will quibble and even criticize some of the stuff that he does, which, by the way, kind of has been happening since the first baseball game ever played. It's not like it's new when a manager gets criticized or second guessed. But Oli's got a great attitude about all this. And I think there's a reason why the players love him. I think there's a reason why he is already melded very, very well with Heim Bloom and Cerfolio and all of those guys. He just gets it. This was not an ideal time to be the manager of the Cardinals, and he's doing his best to make the best of it.
And I hope that those players know that the empty seats are not because of them. And I think they do, but they don't follow all of this like we do. Can you imagine last night's game in a packed house in a playoff race with all that went on yesterday? Contreras getting tossed in a 6-5 game and Burley going deep in a 5-run inning, and that place would have been unhinged. I mean, that's an incredible effort, actually, I thought, by the team and by the Pirates for that matter, in a place that I was there. It was a beautiful night, but it was dead.
Right. And I thought, listen, the interesting thing about the mayhem on the field is that, there's a lot of people condemning it. I get it. And, Wilson Contreras really crossed the line by flinging the bat behind him, not knowing who might have been there. He could have really hurt somebody. I think Wilson, he did apologize to Brant Brown. And I thought, listen, players losing their temper and screaming at an umpire or whatever, that's baseball. That happens all the time. I wish more of that would happen because I used to like it when managers and umpires got into it all the time. They hardly do anymore. Whitey Herzog and Doug Harvey or whatever, But yeah, you can't just blindly throw a heavy object in the direction of your dugout. And listen, Wilson knows better than that. But for some reason, there's an element out there that doesn't like Wilson Contreras, no matter what, even though he is statistically has been the 10th best right-handed hitter in the majors since he joined the Cardinals. And there are people just constantly looking for fault. So they love this. They were just very, very excited that they had something to rip them for. And I tell you what, man, I know the reason why they signed Contreras, and Ali alluded to it. They needed some of that. They needed some edge in that clubhouse. Wilson Contreras will give you his heart. He plays with incredible intensity, maximum effort. He cares deeply about what he does. And he's so emotional that occasionally it lapses into volatility. I make no excuses for him. Again, he was totally wrong and it was irresponsible what he did, that part. But, it just kills me the way people use this as an excuse to jump on him some more, where I understand the big picture about Wilson Contreras, and the Cardinals knew all about his temperament and his volatility and his intensity that bubbles over at times. They wanted it. This isn't like, oh, we're really surprised by this. Not at all. I really like Wilson Contreras a lot, but even like a family member or a best friend, sometime your family member, your best friend do something they shouldn't do, and you got to tell them that as well.
Yeah, he was out of control as much as we love to see the fire. Here's an interesting question outside of Contreras, more of the players that we're seeing throughout this year. This one directed to you, Bernie, from Craig off of Facebook. What's the percentage of runway players in the lineup because they believe in them or they've earned the opportunity versus maybe they're showcasing for other teams that might be interested if they see more?
That's a great question, Craig. It's complicated, by the way, and I don't mean that as any kind of criticism, because I think it's a little bit of everything. I think, for example, they clearly believe Alec Burleson has earned that opportunity and he's there all the time. But then you have a situation where, like a Victor Scott, for example, if you want him to get better offensively, he hasn't earned that. He's there for his defense. He hasn't earned the right to be a starter based on anything he does offensively other than steal bases when he gets on, but he doesn't get on enough. So in some cases, they extend the runway knowing that that a particular player has a pretty big weakness in one area, but they think it's worth investing that time. I do think they've been a little inconsistent. I think they were inconsistent with Gorman early on. And I do know that early on he also went on the IL for 10 days, but he didn't get a lot of at-bats in the first couple months. And since he started getting regular at-bats, his season has taken off. I think it's one of the most underreported and underrated seasons the Cardinals have had among individual players. He has been really, really good since the beginning of June. And so the runway was never going to be perfect because the runway, as long as Nolan Arenado, for example, as he was on the team, that was going to block off one path for Gorman to play a lot. I do think, however, when we look at certain players, I would put Nootbaar in this category. I would put Donovan in this category. It isn't that the Cardinals are showcasing them for a trade. It's just that they know there's interest in them. So, of course, they're going to play him, but they're going to play him, especially Donovan, because he's really good. Nootbaar, they want to play him because they want to find out more about him. I'm talking about the new set of eyes on these players, Heim Bloom and all of his people. They haven't had a chance to follow Lars Nootbaar every step of the way since he came to the majors. They want to find out more. So it's an imperfect answer, Craig, and I apologize, but it's a little bit of everything, which also means it's imperfect because there was no way to put this all together in a way that fit every objective.
That's a great answer. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we are going to look at the 2026 Cardinals schedule. It has been released, and we'll take a look at some of the things that they have just put out there about 2026, who they open with, some of the changes in the schedule. But first, Bernie, I want to ask you about Saliga Heating and Cooling.
You got it. I'm always proud to represent Saliga Heating and Cooling here on KMOX on the Gashouse Gang because, first of all, this is a great family that's had a great family business since 1927. Dan Saliga is fourth owner, operator of this family business that's going back to 1927. So they've been taking care of generations of St. Louis families, the one Saliga family. I love that. And also they've been taking great care of the Miklas family for about 16, 17 years. And that's why I'm so proud to talk about them because we know full well how great they are at what they do. We can testify that, hey, they set the standard for their honesty and their knowledge, their dependability. They're professional in everything they do with you. When they come in your home, they're classy. You never feel awkward or uncomfortable or anything like that. And their integrity is such that we have found that Saliga, there have been times where they probably could have sold this something, a more expensive repair job for you. But they won't do it. You know why? Because they want to maintain their rep. They also want to maintain and sustain your business. So what they've done with us and our neighbors and other people I know, they always look for a cheaper, less expensive solution. They don't try to talk you into the most expensive solution. And that right there tells you all you need to know about what's inside and how they do their business. One other thing real quick, they have a Priority Club maintenance plan that will save you money by extending the lifetime of your equipment. So to find out more on that and everything else at Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin Comfort dealer, just go to SaligaHeatingandCooling.com. Thank you.
Thank you, St. Louis, for making Genesis of St. Charles the #1
HomeTitleLock.com.
Now back to the Gashouse Gang, sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling and by Anderson Hospital on 104.1 FM KMOX.
So just a couple of minutes left, Bernie. The Cardinals' schedule is out for next season, March 26th. The home opener, that is the first game of the season. The fifth time in the last 7 years they're opening at home. They'll take on the Rays. Then they will take on, a couple of weeks later, the Red Sox. So Heimblum's former two teams.
I like it.
I know. They play the Mets also early. The problem is they don't play the Cubs till the end of May. They don't play any holidays at home, I see. 4th of July, Memorial Day, Labor Day. They have a lot of road trips late. 10-game road trip, 9-game road trip in the final couple of months of the season. So, again, a lot of interleague play early in the schedule, Bernie.
Well, I always look forward to the schedule and breaking it down. I haven't had a chance to do that. I care about it, probably care about it getting closer to the season as far as, because then you're going to know what kind of team the Cardinals have, what problems they're dealing with. The schedule comes into play, but it's always fun to talk about for about 98% of the people, because it is. It's schedule release is cool. I think you can go through every team's schedule and find peculiar stuff in there, or things that don't make a lot of sense. But I do wish Major League Baseball would show more respect to the Cardinals-Cubs rivalry by front-loading a couple of those series earlier in the season. They sure as heck do it for the Yankees and Red Sox, don't they?
Oh, absolutely they do. And, maybe the Cardinals have to earn that respect back by being a power again and bringing in some stars, growing some stars, which I would assume they will do. Speaking of scheduling, it's been great to visit with you today. And tomorrow, Chris Ranji and I will be back together on the Gashouse Gang. Of course, we get to see you on the Redbird Rush Hour, also with STL Sports Central and Katie Wu. You're all over the place. We love your videos and we love your contributions to KMOX, Bernie Miklasz.
I love being back with KMOX. It's my home in my radio home in St. Louis. I'm OG with KMOX, no doubt about it. Love to be back.
You are a lifelong KMOXer. For Bernie Miklasz, I'm Tom Ackerman. Thanks for joining us on the Gashouse Gang.
Missouri, get ready. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sports